Hi. My dad is gonna be right back. My hair is a mess. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hello. One second. Hi, Ken. How you are? How you do? Hello, everyone. My dad is gonna be right back. He has just stepped out for a second. Hi, Ryan. Hi, everybody. All right. And here he comes, a shuffling my direction now.
Try not to shuffle.
Slight shuffle. Gentle shuffle. Hang on. I'm rolling it away. Feel Coman. Rolling it back.
I'm here.
You're here. Hello, everybody.
I feel like a Saint Bernard.
Love the new hair look. Well done. It didn't do anything. It's just a mess. I didn't change it at all. I'm just a mess is all. Hang on. Hello. All right. Hi, Victoria. Hi. Yes, the Leonard Maltin shuffle. He does. He's bad for shuffling. I do. I lovingly tease him and call him Shuffles because that is what it sounds like. Hang on.
This is the kind of respect I get.
I'm just saying, man. It's on you. You're the one that shuffles.
That's true.
You're the one that shuffles around.
That's true.
I wouldn't be able to call you Shuffles if you didn't shuffle. Just saying. Hi, Steve. Hi, Steven. Hi, everybody. As an avid reader, does Mr. Maltin follow certain book prizes around the world?
Not especially.
Not really.
I've been aware when friends of mine are in contention.
Yeah, that's always nice.
John Burlingame, I think, won the ASCAP, Sadeem's Taylor Award.
There you go.
If that name doesn't sound familiar, watch Fantasia. He's the host and narrator, and was a musicologist and a man of letters. Let's say
a man of letters. I like that.
Another old chestnut of an expression.
I know, but I like that.
Sit up straight. I alone.
Sit up straight, Maltin.
I'm using in the year 2023.
That's right. But I like it. I like the way it sounds.
Good.
Do you have any favorite episodes of Rugrats? Just like the Passover. Well, the Passover episode is probably the most famous episode of Rugrats. You didn't watch it much. I did. No. I grew up on it. So I watched it, but I don't think you watched more than just having it on while I was in the room.
Casually.
Yeah. But I love that. And actually it's our friend, Michael Bell, who made that episode happen. And he's still very proud of that, as he should be.
As he should be.
He really pushed for that and made it happen. And he was a voice on the show for years. And, yeah, that was, I think it means a lot, especially when I was younger. There was so little Hanukkah stuff, Passover stuff, Jewy things. And so it was really tough when I was little, because obviously there's Christmas absolutely everywhere, but no Hanukkah, no Passover, no Sukkot, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, it meant a lot when there would be something on TV.
Yes.
Because you felt like you were being included. Like anybody else talks about, inclusivity, which is so popular now, the term inclusivity. But yeah, it meant a lot. It was a big deal when Bed Bath & Beyond started carrying Hanukkah stuff. That was huge. My mom and I would go, you won't remember because you never went and did this with us, but there was like a shelf of Hanukkah things at Bed Bath & Beyond, and my mom and I would just go and clear it off. Take everything. So we were just so excited to see stuff. Why do you think there's so many Jewish themed movies? As a Gentile, I'd like to see more. I want more Nora's Will type films. Nora's Will is fantastic.
Nora's Will is an exceptional Mexican film.
It's so good.
Set around Passover time.
Yeah.
When patriarch of the
matriarch.
Family, matriarch dies.
Matriarch dies.
That's right.
And that's a pretty interesting one. It's so well done. I cried. You showed it in class, and the filmmaker was there. And as the movie ends, I'm like sobbing, like whole face just sobbing. And I walk over to the director, and I just said, "I'm so good." Yeah, beautiful, beautiful movie.
Somebody just said that they got the Davy Crockett.
Oh, sure.
But
Sure.
they got the tinless Canadian version. I didn't know that's how they released them in Canada.
Yeah.
Did we know that? Did
Uh,
we know they released them without the embossed tins?
You know, so I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I haven't done my homework on your tins in Canada. It's been a few years, so I don't know. Heard anything about the new Sandler bat mitzvah? Yes, because we got an email about it, and I screenshot it and sent it to my friend, and I was just like, "What?"
How old do you think you were when Adam Sandler sang the Hanukkah song on Saturday Night Live?
I was like 10 or 11, and it was the most important thing that had ever happened.
It was a defining moment.
It was such a big deal.
We're not, highly observant Jews. I don't say that with pride. It's just the way it is. But for our child's sake, we always made sure to observe Hanukkah for sure.
Yeah.
And we would go to a Passover Seder at a cousin of
at Alice's. A friend's house or cousin's house or somebody. Yeah. They tried to, we went to temple for the high holidays, and I went to Hebrew school, and I had a bat mitzvah and all that kind of stuff.
But still, in the we're a very small minority of the population.
Yeah.
And to have someone like Adam Sandler, who was then on the rise
on SNL
on
of
Saturday
all
Night
places,
Live, sing his Hanukkah song, which itself is a roster of famous and successful Jewish people in show business.
It's so good. It's still so good, and I love hearing it. But just so I get this email, and it says, this is the subject is, "You are so not coming to my bat mitzvah." I was like, what? And then I read and realized, so this is Adam Sandler's new, I guess he's producing it. But yeah, I don't know that would have been my subject line. I maybe would have explained that there was a film going on. But yeah, they want us to interview some of the people from the film, and on a young adult material in general. So that's interesting. Obviously, right now we can't interview actors or writers. So it's been, I feel so much for all of these publicists who are trying to promote things, and they can't have their actors or directors promote them. Not directors, rather, actors or writers promote them. So they're all just sort of desperately trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. It's tricky, it's a tricky thing. We have had the most fun over the last week, and it'll continue into this week. Every year around this time, I get emails from a number of different publicists who are talking about Emmy nominees, specifically what they call below the line craftsman Emmys. And that is your editors, your prosthetics, your makeup, your hair, your wardrobe, your production design, sound mixer, sound design,
sound re-recordist,
all kinds. And I love it so much. I love it so much.
And we've talked to 12 people.
We've talked to 12 people so far.
And believe me, if you're interested in movie making at all,
it's so fascinating.
It's so interesting talking to these folks, and asking them about other projects they've worked on, or who mentored them, so it's not inside baseball. It's not jargon filled either. I mean, they're talking about their experiences.
Well, as this has started happening a few years ago is when they first reach out to try and do it. One of the things I am grateful for with our podcast is that we are in complete control of it.
Yeah.
Which is to say, we don't have to interview anyone we don't want to interview. Our shows can be as long or short as we want. We can do whatever we want. And it's rare that is the case in any situation. So I'm grateful that we can make these kinds of choices. So what I started to do was I said, all right, we can't necessarily do an hour-long episode with each person. In some cases, they haven't. Some people have ridiculously long CVs, others quite short, others are new to this. And so I said, all right, we can generally do, let's say 10, 15, 20 minutes with each person or group if they give us 2 at a time, and then put them together as, in this case, a Cabinet of Curiosities episode, a Wednesday episode, Emily in Paris, Beef. Who else have we spoken to? The Queen. The Crown, rather. The Crown.
And Mrs. Bridgerton offshoot.
Oh, yeah, the Queen Charlotte.
Queen Charlotte.
So we have now spoken to, as I say, editors and hairstylists. Tomorrow we have 2 more that we're doing. Another, this time with the woman who does all the hair for, specifically does the hair for the Crown. Other than Kate, who we spoke to last week, sort of does a little bit of everything. See, it's just me. Jamie says, liar, you can only make the podcast as long as Daisy says. Let me tell you something, Jamie.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Let me tell you something, Jamie. We were talking to one of the most legendary costume designers ever, a woman named Colleen Atwood. She has worked with Rob Marshall many times. She is
Tim Burton's
go-to.
Yeah.
So Edward Scissorhands.
First thing out of Tim Burton's mouth, I guess, when he signs a deal.
Yeah, is I got to have Colleen Atwood.
Yeah.
Because he's smart. Anyway, we're speaking to her, and she is a legend and huge and so nice. It doesn't act like it at all, but I was quelling.
Carries it lightly.
I was quelling talking to this woman, and Daisy wanders in. My mom had her. She got away. Daisy wanders in. Thankfully, Ms. Atwood was very kind and was not upset when Daisy plopped herself down on my lap.
Nah, she was
and
great.
And then all I kept thinking was our poor engineer, Daisy's sitting in front of my microphone going, and I'm just imagining Aristotle having to try and mute me a little bit so it's not just Daisy breathing heavily into it. Yeah, trying to work from home is just nuts. Yes, Nick.
Yes.
Colleen Atwood
she's nominated. Wednesdays. She is nominated for an Emmy
for Wednesday.
For Wednesday. For
an episode of Wednesday. That's why she was available. Because that's the thing. We would do these interviews year round, happily. Most of these people work like crazy and don't have time.
They're on to the next project.
That's the thing.
Already working on another show, another 2 shows.
Many actors, part of their job is promotion, so when the film finishes, they have to agree to a month or whatever it is to do the promotion stuff for it. But a lot of the craft people are going job to job to job to job. One of the most interesting things I felt was speaking to these 2 editors who are nominated for the show, Beef. And it was one editor who was with Beef, but then we spoke to somebody else who's with Cabinet of Curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
There have been so many. And we were talking about how difficult it is, the sort of skill set you have to be able to edit alongside so many other people, one show, as in not the type where each episode has a different director or a different look, but
a show establishes itself
and its look,
its feel, its pace.
Yeah.
And if you're an editor for hire, or in this case, a co-editor for hire, you can't just come in and do it differently.
Yep.
And upset the viewers, the loyal viewers.
Yeah.
You've got to be consistent, just as the directors for hire. Have to be consistent. But so imagine your job is you're one of, just a random number, 5 editors for a show like Stranger Things. You have to work with the other editors to make sure that everything looks
like one person has been doing every episode. It can't look like there are 4 or 5 different
Right.
people creating it.
Right.
As I say, unless you have shows like Cabinet of Curiosities where each one's a different director, different theme, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if the idea is that you're watching a show and suddenly, imagine if you're watching a show and there's a ton of establishing shots and that's how the first episode is, and the second one is cut, 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 close up, close up, close up, it would be jarring. So that to me is another one of those things that I never really thought about.
Yeah.
But the skill set you have to work with others to create something,
and the adaptability.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
It's so detailed.
And it's a pleasure to talk to these folks. It really is.
We talked to one cinematographer, and he was sitting on his boat where was he in New York?
Chesapeake.
In Chesapeake Bay in New York.
Not New York, honey. Chesapeake Bay is south.
Didn't he said he was in New York. He said he was in upstate New York.
Well, that's not Chesapeake Bay.
Well, then he wasn't in Chesapeake Bay.
Well.
So there. But yeah, it was as I say, it was just funny. He's sitting on his boat. He goes, "Well, none of us are working right now, so I figured I'd just come to my boat." It was like, sounds like a good plan. Can we join you?
It looked beautiful too.
It did. But yeah, just really neat.
2 things that we try to read.
Yes,
as
we go
comments
here.
As we go along. Someone on this monitor asked me if I'm familiar with the book, which he hadn't yet read, by Neil Gabler, called An Empire of Their Own. One of the great film books of all time. And it's about the dirt poor immigrant Jews who came to the United States, sometimes as young men, sometimes as babies, and grew up to completely dominate the Hollywood movie industry. In other words, essentially to create the Hollywood movie industry. How could that be? How could uneducated people of any nationality, of any ethnicity, so grab hold of a new and exciting medium, which is what they did? And then the irony is that they then produced all the films that we know that are on TCM and elsewhere from the 30s and 40s and 50s that sold this squeaky clean vision, this idealized vision of America and American life back to the mostly Gentile audience. There ironies on top of ironies in this saga, and Neil didn't miss a beat. It's a really deeply researched and thoughtful book, An Empire of Their Own. Someone on this monitor said he just got a used copy, there's no other kind, of my film encyclopedia from 1995.
I liked that book. I know you didn't like that book, but I liked that book.
It was a migraine headache to do.
But I thought it was good. Remember, for the longest time, it was on IMDb.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. They licensed
for the longest time. If you'd look someone up, it would say Leonard Maltin Encyclopedia, and at the bottom it would have the description of the person. So there. We
did most of the work on that in, I think, the year 1993, and it came out in 94. I'm a little hazy on this, but I'm not too far off. And in between the hardcover and the paperback, 3 careers launched. One was Jim Carrey. One was Quentin Tarantino. Oh, and who was the third? Who 2 years earlier
were not a thing.
It's
nuts.
And we found a way to shoehorn them into maybe Jackie Chan, who was well established in Hong Kong cinema, but
not here.
Not here. Anyway, I'm not too far off on that.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Shannon, I didn't get a new port. I just had to. There's a thing that you have to do when you have a port. For folks who don't know, I have a port in my chest, which is basically, I'm pointing at it. It's right here. It is access to my veins, because the veins I do have don't work. I have one vein, just one, and it's in this arm that you can sometimes use, and you have to talk real nice to it and like buy it dinner first, or it doesn't work at all. And so some years ago, my doctors decided that putting a port in would save everything, and he was right. It has been amazing, but you have to take care of them. You have to be really careful with them. And so once a year, give or take, you have to go and have some special medication put into it to make sure that it's not clotting or clogged with any tissue or anything. So that's what I had to do. It is a pain in the ass, but I did it and it's over. But thank you so much. So it's hopefully working again. I think I see my doctor next week for my next infusion. So we'll see, but fingers crossed. Yes. Hello, Jerry in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm so glad things are nice where you are. Did you ever talk to Lorne Michaels?
No, I met him once for the length of a handshake.
Yeah. Doug is saying that some people are saying that the strike is going to go on till January. I keep saying this and I'll just keep saying it. Literally no one knows what's going to happen. Not a single person. And anyone who says that they do is, forgive me, lying or wrong, because they just don't, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Things could click all of a sudden and it could get better, or it could not, and it could go till the beginning of next year.
We don't know
nobody knows.
We
anything.
don't know the personalities involved, the politics involved.
And I have so many friends who are out there every day on picket lines. I have so many friends who are in charge. My friend, God bless her, she's working her butt off. She's one of the captains, and she is at Universal every single day, and she helps make sure everybody goes where it's safe, and she gets them their water and make sure everybody's taking breaks so they're not passing out, right, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, not a single human knows when it's going to end or what's going to happen. Yeah, it's just tricky and kind of awful. Stephen was saying, do you have a favorite guest that has come to class?
Oh, well,
Guillermo's pretty fantastic.
Guillermo del Toro.
He's pretty fantastic.
he and the students love him.
Oh yeah, well, you can't not.
They love him for all the obvious reasons, or maybe not so obvious reasons. He loves to swear. He loves to swear. He explained to us that since English is his second language, there's still sort of a novelty to him in his mind. When he says bastard,
yeah,
or stronger words than that.
F words out of his mouth are like they're just beautiful.
And he's so eloquent.
He's so eloquent. He's so eloquent in general. It's like talking to a poet that curses heavily. He's just wonderful, and he's so inspiring. That's the thing. It's like listening to Martin Scorsese talk about film. You just sort of go, like anything they say, because it's just so passionate. I would also say that when Kevin Clash, Stephen, I can't remember, were you there when Kevin Clash came to class with the documentary Being Elmo? That was a wild experience. I don't know if you guys remember the documentary Being Elmo from a few years ago, but this guy, Kevin Clash, who voiced Elmo, created Elmo, and then really became one of the biggest parts of the Sesame Street universe in terms of helping run things and produce, direct, create characters, etc. Absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, he then got in trouble after the documentary came out because apparently he liked underage boys. But if you forget that bit for a minute, when he came to class, he comes in. I've had you tell this story before, but it's something that for me will always stay with me. My dad had an experience
35 years ago. Mm-hmm. AFI asked if I would be willing and available to interview Jim Henson.
And he said, no, why would I want to do that?
Who was then doing, what was that series called? That
I don't know.
He had an anthology
show.
I said, absolutely. And the next day we convened in a theater where they screened one episode. And then I got to talk to him, and he had like a doctor's medical bag with him, which I didn't understand at all. But, some people carry satchels or suitcase or briefcases. Well, at a certain moment in the conversation, he opened up the medical bag and out came Kermit the Frog. And the whole place, including me, just went nuts.
Like, was it people were saying the storyteller, Dark Crystal?
Not Dark Crystal, that's a feature film.
So maybe the
The
storyteller.
Storyteller.
Yeah.
And two different people agree on that.
Yeah.
And as we used to say at Entertainment Tonight, two makes a trend.
There you go. Oof. Oof. Nicole, I can't believe I've never told. Yeah, I've never told you this particular story.
Anyway, and the PS is the heartbreaking part. We posed afterwards for the AFI photographer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thousands of photos. Me, Kermit, Jim Henson, and they've never found them.
They've never found the pictures, which kills me.
Oh well.
Oh, Stephen is saying that his favorite was Stephen Price, who came for Gravity. I'm sure that was great. So,
oh no,
sorry. So Elmo. So my dad has told me this story, and I've always thought about it and just said, God, what an amazing experience. Well, Kevin Clash comes to class with the film, and he's got a bag with him. And as soon as I see that bag, I went, oh. So he gets up on stage and is, they're doing the interview after the film, and everybody, you can't help but love the movie and really, really fall for him.
Yeah.
In understanding how much he loves this, how dedicated he is to this, how he's done it his whole life.
Yeah.
And also to hear sort of to know that so many of the creators there were happy to take him in.
They recognized a kindred spirit, and they welcomed him.
It's beautiful. But so he brings the bag up, and I'm watching, and again, none of the kids know what I know in this moment, and I'm just waiting. And then, sure enough, at a certain point, he opens the bag, and he pulls out Elmo. And one of the craziest things, if you've ever, I know it's going to be silly to say if you've ever seen puppets, but if you've ever watched people with puppets in person, people who are really good at it, is that you do somehow forget the human being there. And you can just look at the puppet. And it's amazing that these little movements really bring this thing to life. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you have a reaction to it. So to sit in this classroom with 300 odd 19, 20, 21-year-olds who generally want to be cool, right? Elmo comes out, that's out the window.
Yeah, forget being cool.
And he's now taking questions both as Kevin and as Elmo. And the kids are asking questions to both of them. And I'm just watching this happen. And it's like, never in my life. And when the class was over, he stood and he, was very kind with everybody. And at the end, I said, I would love a picture of the three of us. And by that, I meant Kevin, my dad, and me. He proceeded to sit my dad down in a chair, have me
staged the photo,
have me stand behind my dad. And then he hid, but he's a large man. He hid behind me and put Elmo on my shoulders. And it was just
magic. It was magical.
But as I say, and one kid raised her hand and she said, can I give Elmo a hug? And he said, yes. And she went running up onto the stage, gave Elmo a hug, came back down. It's, as I say, just getting to see certain things like that in person, getting to see people sort of removed from their ego or the way they think they're supposed to be. You see Elmo and you have a reaction. It was amazing.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Newly returned son of Dayton, Ohio.
Indeed.
And Jenny, too.
Oh, did you ever meet Edgar Bergen? Ken is asking if you ever met
No,
Edgar
I
Bergen.
wish I had.
No, but he did meet Senor Wences.
And I have one of my all-time favorite photographs of me with Senor Wences and the man in the box.
Because people said that my dad looked like the man in the box.
And when I had dark hair and a dark beard, I did kind of resemble the man in the box.
You did.
Close the door.
Close the door. Senor Wences. If you have a small human in your life, I would recommend attempting at the very least to introduce them to Senor Wences, because Still friggin' hilarious. Yeah, Ben is saying that Kevin Clash still works for the Muppets, but in a lower profile job. Yeah, he'd have to. He's such a significant part of what they do. He's so much the heart of what they do. It would be silly, you know. Yeah, thank you, Casey. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Puppeteering was considered akin to sorcery in some ancient cultures. I can imagine that. I'll go with that. You really have less of a chance of running into Elmo while shopping or pumping gas. It's true. You don't know when you're going to meet them. You have a picture with Miss Piggy that I'm so jealous of.
And that was when
it was still Frank Oz
still performing Miss Piggy for the first reincarnation of the Muppet Show, first of many.
Nick is saying I recommend watching Senor's episode of the Muppet Show on Disney Plus. That's awesome. Thank you.
That's great that it's there.
I'm so glad to know that. I'll show Daisy.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
That's the thing. I started watching some Muppet stuff. Daisy's best friend is an adorable little boy named Charlie, and his mom is one of my favorite humans, and he really loves Elmo. And seeing Charlie with Elmo, I thought, I haven't really watched much of Sesame Street with Daisy. I wonder what she'd think of it. And the thing that brought me such joy is that it's still Sesame Street. It's still old school in the way that it's gentle and loving and warm. It's not trying to be hip or cool. It's still that same kind place, which I value very much. A number of folks saw yesterday, I posted my dad said to me, we were sitting in my parents' room yesterday, and my dad said, has Daisy seen any Betty Boop yet? I said, no, we should show her. So my favorite of the cartoons is Grampy's House.
Because it's called Betty Boop and Grampy. Yeah,
I love Grampy. I love, love, love Grampy.
I raised her right.
Yes, you did. And he's just funny. Just always funny. But we put that on for her, and she sat through almost all of it.
Yep.
She sat and watched pretty much the whole thing. It was just at the end that she started to sort of look around and pick up stickers and stuff. But I would say that's a win.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. It was a win for that first one. Nick says he wishes the show had more humor right now. Yeah, but the thing is, especially for the younger kids, they don't really notice. So there are still a lot of jokes. There's an episode that I'm obsessed with where Elmo becomes a butterfly, and I just love it. And it has a lot of comedy in it. And I've been watching I've started watching more with Daisy. There's actually a lot of funny stuff. So that's a good one. No, it wasn't Blu-ray. I just searched on YouTube, to be honest. We were just sitting there and I thought, well, I wonder if it's on there. And it was.
I have, I think, 4 volumes of Betty Boop. From Olive Films, which released them in no particular order. But it has the classics are all there. Minnie the Moocher, and Snow White, and etc. But it's missing some of my favorites. It doesn't, for instance, it does not have Betty Boop and Grampy. For instance.
Well, then that's a waste.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah, Lynn's saying it was such an adorable picture of Leonard and Daisy. They're pretty damn adorable together, I'll tell you. Daisy loves my dad. Why wouldn't she? But you guys have a special relationship. You have a bond.
Yes, it's called grandfather.
Yes,
and granddaughter.
Yeah, but I don't know. But there's something. It's something special.
Well, special to me.
It's something special. The two of them together. Yeah.
So finally, I've had it for a couple of weeks, but I finally started diving into the new 4-disc Soundy's The Ultimate Collection. It is that from Kino Lorber. Some of them very heavily restored, some of them lightly restored by the Library of Congress. And if you don't know what Soundies are, they were kind of the precursor to music videos. In the early 40s. The war kind of interrupted this. Our involvement in World War II after Pearl Harbor, killed a lot of plans for installing these visual jukeboxes. Think of them like a big refrigerator with a screen on the top and a 16 millimeter projector buried inside, projecting through mirrors to that screen. And you got a 3-minute musical short. A lot of built-in problems with that because they were mounted on an 800-foot reel of film. You couldn't go back. You had to just watch the next one in line. And I'm reminded, and I've been collecting soundies on 16 millimeter for many, many years, but I'm reminded as I go through this carefully curated collection. Susan Delson, and who wrote a book about all of this, is the primary host, along with Ina Archer. What a load of crap.
Tell us how you really feel.
Was foisted on the unsuspecting American public. Jeez.
That good, eh?
Oh, man. A lot of the so-called talent in front of the camera. Well, let's put it this way. The words that were never uttered on a soundy set. Take 2. Oh, man. But there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And they're worth exploring. I don't know what more to say. But you can see Fats Waller. You can see Duke Ellington. You can see Count Basie. You can see Gene Krupa, Anita O'Day, the King Cole Trio featuring Nat King Cole, and many others. In the ultimate collection. A couple of the restored ones look beautiful. Never seen them look so beautiful. And in some cases, like one of the Ellington ones, I've got a better print. One of them looks like it was shot during a thunderstorm.
That's so funny.
But worthwhile. And a very good booklet with contributions from my friend Mark Cantor, the preeminent jazz film collector in our lives. Last night, Alice and I didn't know what we felt like watching. And I had just gotten from Kino Lorber this film, The Bridges of Toko-Ri, 1954. 55, it was really released in early 55, starring William Holden, Grace Kelly, Frederick March, and Mickey Rooney. And I remember seeing this at a drive-in movie, as I dimly recall, as a kid. And the only thing I remembered about it...
You're slumping worse and worse. Sit yourself up, young man.
Yep. The only thing I remembered about it is that they send Mickey Rooney from one ship to another using what is called a breeches buoy.
Buoy.
A breeches buoy, which is uses...
like a pulley system.
Yeah, a pulley system with ropes to transport a person or an object from one ship to another, or from one location to another. Well, they don't use the term in the movie, so I guess I must have asked my parents what that was. And
that feels like something Aaron would know. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but it feels like
my
something
dad
he would
obviously
know.
said,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's a breeches buoy," which is the best thing I can say about the movie. The movie is not as good as I dimly remember. It's based on a novel by James Michener, who, as his usual MO, took real life incidents and real life characters and then fictionalized them to some degree. It's a Korean. It's one of the very few films set during the Korean War, and it's a little standard issue. And what's funny is that the most exciting footage in the movie is the real aircraft carrier footage. How those jets take off and land, especially on those carriers, is incredibly exciting to see. And then they have a bombing mission, which is the climax of the movie. And some of the footage is bona fide, real. If you stare at it,
Wild.
I could tell one shot was a miniature.
Hmm.
Just one. John Fulton, the great John Fulton.
Arthur says, I agree. I wasn't terribly impressed with the film. And Nick is mentioning that he thinks it was on TCM a few months ago.
And I think it won an Oscar for its visual effects.
Yeah.
But not for its
story. Not for the writing and directing.
Nope.
Fair enough.
So other odds and ends here.
Yes.
Last Saturday night, Alice and I went to Noir City.
Yep.
Which is an annual festival held by the American Cinematheque. Usually we go in the years past, go to the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood to see rare and beloved film noir.
Yep.
The theater is being renovated by Netflix, as a matter of fact. So this was at the Aero Theater, the other one that is operated by the American Cinematheque folks, and it has a wonderful old marquee outside. I smile when I think about it, when I see it. Anyway, there was a double feature of A Double Life, the film that won Ronald Colman his one and only Academy Award as Best Actor, written by Ruth Gordon and Garson Kanin, directed by George Cukor, followed by a film I'd never seen called The Velvet Touch, also set in the world of theater.
Yeah, you talked about it last week.
I did.
You did, because you're saying
I don't have to talk about it anymore.
How mommy is. No. I'm just saying because mommy was. My mom is such a huge Ronald Colman fan.
Anyway, let's give Eddie a plug for his new book, Noir Bar. Cocktails inspired by film noir.
Yes, very Eddie Miller. Alan, I will mention your book. Mention the book that you referenced in just a second, because we'll get to the books we asked you guys about. Vincent is saying, what's your favorite Hitchcock movie? Or what are some of your favorite Hitchcock movies?
How do you pick one?
Well, you love 39 Steps. I feel like that's
the
one that always
39 Steps to me is a perfect movie.
For you.
Yeah, it is the perfect movie.
Yeah.
He made others.
I don't think you can go wrong watching pretty much any of his movies. I don't think that any of them are you're not going to go, well, that was terrible. But you're just going to connect to different ones. The one that is It Happened One Night. Is that the one that no, what's the one on the boat where they're in the help me.
Lifeboat?
Yes, that one. Yeah, that one. That one always sticks with me. I don't know why, but that's one that I guess I must have seen it at a time when it just stuck. I also remember that his cameo in that is in the newspaper.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember
it's a magazine floating in the
which made me laugh. So just Alan saying, I just read a great fiction book about a movie fan whose favorite thing was to go to major studio sneak previews in the 1950s and 60s. We relive these events from his life. It even features appearances by Blake Edwards and Jerry Lewis, who nicknamed our narrator Preview Harvey, which is the title of this book by Bruce Kimmel. I highly recommend this to film fans. Thank you for that, Alan.
There was a guy that's inspired Bruce, who knows his way around Hollywood. Would have known about Preview George or whatever he was called in real life. I was asked to do a lecture earlier this week for the staff at the Disney Animation Studio. In the 60s, they were done a series of these decade by decade. And I did a lot of homework for it. I read Bill Pete's autobiography. Bill was the first man to receive a sole story credit, screenplay credit from Walt Disney. And that was on 101 Dalmatians, which was an adaptation of a book by Dodie Smith. But then he got, and then Sword and the Stone, which is also from a book by T.H. White, The Once and Future King. And then Jungle Book. No, Jungle Book was... They fell out on Jungle Book, Bill Pete and Walt Disney. So he had two, character design and story credits. Amazing that Walt would delegate that way. but that was part of one of his gifts.
Yeah. We will get to William Friedkin in just a minute.
Yes.
We will. I want to make sure I get through all the stuff.
I just wanted to show this because I brought it to show the folks at the lecture. I've owned this book since it was new. The copyright is 1956, so I would have been 5 years old, which helps explain
the wear and the tear,
atrocious condition it's in. It was a compilation of articles and pictures from Mickey Mouse Club magazine. And what I'd forgotten until I opened it up the other day is that I got signed by 6 of the Mouseketeers that memorable day when we shot the video for the Walt Disney Treasures series.
That was so special.
It
that
sure
was
was
so special. They got out the curtain. That was the whole thing. Getting out and then cleaning the curtain is a big old curtain. That was a very big deal.
Which no one had ever seen in color.
Yeah, that's right.
It was black and white television in those days.
And that's when they made you an honorary Mouseketeer, which was very exciting. They actually did it twice. They did it 2 separate events. You've been made an honorary Mouseketeer. Do you know what that makes me think? You're really an honorary Mouseketeer. Right. If you do it twice, that says something.
If I did it a 3rd time, it would cancel it.
That's right. That would end it, and you'd have to start again. You'd have to find someone else to do it. So William Friedkin.
William Friedkin, a great raconteur. He came to my class. I met him a number of times. He only came to my class once, and that was with one of his less celebrated films. But he was still a good spieler.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, my friend Nat Segalov, who just wrote a new book about The Exorcist and its legacy, had written a full-fledged biography of him years ago called Hurricane Billy, which tells you something of his reputation in his heyday. He was a very skillful filmmaker, and when he had great material to work with, as he did with The Exorcist, and The French Connection, you can't not watch The French Connection. Alice and I were having dinner one night and turned on TCM. You just have to watch it.
There are those films.
Yep.
Garrett's saying, I can't wait for your garage sale, if ever. My mom used to joke that when my parents die, I'm going to have the world's biggest yard sale. And I can't even imagine attempting such a thing with all of your stuff. My figuring is I'll have to call a museum and say, come take it all away, because I don't know what else you would do with all of it. And it deserves to have a real home. So our question today to you guys was, what are your favorite film books? And kindly, a number of you have mentioned his books, which very, very sweet, including the Disney films, of course. A lot of folks are saying movie comedy teams. A lot of people love that movie comedy teams book. And I love that. But I'm also like, listen, as far as I'm concerned, you can forget discussing movies or any of our usual Sunday stuff. All this inquiring mind wants to know is how much Daisy loved her first screening of Betty Boop and Grampy. As I say, thankfully, she seemed into it. So, fingers crossed we can keep that going.
Cautiously optimistic.
That's right.
Call us cautiously optimistic.
Another person says Hollywood Gothic by David J. Skal. And then Film as Art, Rudolph Arnheim.
That's one of the old standbys.
The OG, if you will. Another one, let's see. Favorite film book. The book. Oh, sorry. So Ken's saying so many. Every book attributed to Bob Hope. The book on Jack Benny, Sunday nights at 7. The Western by William K. Everson. Books by Barber and some guy named Maltin. That's you, and he includes this one here, the Disney films. Let's see. It's so funny. Depending on your age, it's like there's certain clumpings where everybody went, oh, we had to get this or we had to get that. And it always sort of blows my mind, the things that everybody grew up with because it's what was there. It's like when you talk about TV movies,
Yeah.
things like that. It's just what everybody had. So it's what you read. But yeah.
James Whale by James Curtis. Anything by James Curtis.
Yeah.
Anything by Scott Iman.
Yeah.
Anything by Janine Basinger.
Patrick is saying cult movies, volumes 1 through 3, and alternate Oscars, both by Danny. Is it Peary or Perry? I don't know. And then what are you reading right now? What Chaplin book are you reading right now?
I'm reading an advanced copy of Scott Iman's book coming out in October, called The United States versus Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
I believe that is the correct title. And while it purports to only cover the latter portion of Chaplin's life, he manages to really touch on every phase of his life and career. And it's great reading, as I expect no less from Scott. He just does really fine work. Sam Lawson. As a book coming out on Francis Ford Coppola.
What's the one you finally finished? The one you just finished, the big guy. Was it a Roosevelt? But no.
That was The Bully Pulpit.
The Bully Pulpit. That's the other one you just finished.
Good one. A non-film book.
A non-film book. But as I say, my dad's always reading at least two books at a time, which it blows my mind that it all just sort of, it's all in there somewhere. It's all in there somewhere.
Somewhere.
But yeah, Rasmus is saying, as a big fan of 1970s Hollywood, one of my favorite film books is Peter Biskin's Easy Rider. Easy Riders, and Raging Bulls. With the death of William Friedkin, we have just said goodbye to yet another of the big names from that era. It's true.
Yep.
It's really
the Jaws log, one of my favorite making of books.
Yeah, Jaws. The Movie Reel Critic says Jaws log by Carl Gottlieb, and I Want It Now by Julie Dawn Cole. As I say, there's just so many. There's so many interesting film books out there. The only thing, of course, that we're picky about is how correct something is. That's the only time we have certain questions. Is I think that someone like Scott Iman at this point has shown that the kind of research that he does and the detail that goes into everything, that what you're reading is accurate. Where it can get tricky, of course, is that not everybody has that. And that can also be a bit stressful. But yeah, just so many fascinating stories, you got postcards.
Now these are postcard folios. We've all seen these.
Have we all?
Well, yes, if you're older than,
I was gonna say,
if you're older than 8, maybe 10, you may remember postcards. We used to diligently send postcards.
On the back here, it says "Home of Bing Crosby."
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to. I didn't plan this, as you can easily see. We're going to try to guess what year these 3 were released.
Okay.
To the public,
based on
whose homes they're showing.
Okay.
Well, Buster Keaton's Italian Villa.
That's fancy.
In Beverly Hills.
That's fancy. And then what's below? Okay, so what you guys can see here. So the top is Buster Keaton's Italian Villa, Beverly Hills. Then home of Norma Shearer, Beverly Hills. Estelle Taylor and Jack Dempsey at their beautiful home in Laughlin Park, Hollywood. So there's that first 3 there. Leonard, do you read the monthly magazine Classic Images and Films of the Golden Age? He sure does. He sure does. All right, the next one up here is Residence of Gloria Swanson in Beverly Hills, Dolores Del Rio at her beautiful home in Hollywood, and the beautiful home of Corinne Griffith, Beverly Hills. Everybody's in Beverly Hills. One person saying 1928, another one saying 1927.
Yes, I agree.
And then what have we got here? Residence of Marion Davies, Beverly Hills. John Gilbert's Spanish home in Beverly Hills, and Marion Doug at home, Pickfair, Beverly Hills. William says that Jack Dempsey house is just down the street from me. I walk by it every day. That's awesome.
Yes. Well,
right. Where does it have the year?
It may not have it.
Oh, so you're really just throwing it out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
It's in really nice condition.
It is in really nice condition. Look at that.
Fingered lightly.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
The publisher's name is there, but they didn't bother to copyright it.
All right, so
I suspect this is next.
Okay.
Buster, of course, lost that house in his unhappy divorce from Natalie Talmadge. And
oh my. This one's double-sided too. Home of Mickey Rooney, Encino, California. Home of Betty Davis, North Hollywood, California. Home of Bing Crosby, Toluca Lake, California, North Hollywood, California. It's got like too many addresses there.
The fact that Mickey Rooney is in top position is the clue.
Frank saying 1932.
No, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, movie star.
Home of Clark Gable, Brentwood Highlands, California. Residence of Errol Flynn, Beverly Hills, California. Residence of Dorothy Lamour, Beverly Hills, California. Craig is saying 1939.
A little later. Mickey Rooney was the #1 box office attraction, I believe.
1941,
Yep.
Someone else says. There you go. Okay, I think this one's actually double-sided too. It is. It's hard. I'm trying to be gentle, obviously. Yeah, these ones are a little bit harder to see. Loretta Young, all sorts. Okay. These palatial homes offer an attraction to visitors from the eastern states and from all over the world, vying with many other interesting sights to be seen in California. Trips are arranged to take visitors among the homes and through the drives traveled daily by your favorite movie stars on their way to and from the studios.
And Bing is on the back there.
Yeah.
And this is the last one, which
looks the newest.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this one is not people. This one is locations. So you've got headquarters of Capitol Records on Vine Street, Grauman's Chinese, Footprint Fan Court at Grauman's Chinese. Meet Me on the corner of Hollywood and Vine. So this is more just sort of Hollywood landmarks here.
Well, the Capitol Records building is still standing.
Yep. And so is Grauman's. So is Grauman's. Oh, that's a great shot. Look at that.
Oh, at night. Yeah.
Hollywood Boulevard at night. Look at this one. Robert Osborne said everyone in Hollywood said the most talented man you know in the business was Mickey Rooney. A lot of people said that Mickey Rooney was just ridiculously talented. Who? I don't remember.
Scott Iman told Scott Iman wrote a book about Clarence Brown and other people he interviewed. Clarence Brown was the director of National Velvet, Garbo Films, Intruder in the Dust, one of the great studio directors, silent and sound era. And Scott asked him, who was the most talented person you ever directed? He said, oh, without question, Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
And he said, really? He said, oh, yeah, just because between takes or setups, he'd be noodling at the piano,
singing,
writing a song.
Yeah.
And juggling a phone call to his bookie, making bets on the horses for that afternoon. And
then they'd say, it's time to get back.
It's time for the shot, Mickey. The AD assistant director would bring him, put him in position. Okay, roll. And he would cry on cue or tear your heart out with an honest performance. He could turn it on and off like a light bulb. And
that's why it was such a shame that he was so difficult. And I know that he
Yeah.
had a hard life. He really did. But it's such a shame that he became a pain because he was so talented. But yeah, I always think of that story. Because, you think about especially the folks who used to work and everyone that they knew. So imagine being around the best of the best of the best, the people who are the legends today, and folks still saying Mickey was the most talented because he could do so much. Just unfortunate that he couldn't get out of his own way and he made things more difficult.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, seems unfortunately to be a trend at times.
It does happen.
Artistic people can be quite fragile.
You met Mickey.
I did. I met him more than once. The first time I met him was at a Ray Court show,
right,
where he was charging people $20 for a signature.
25.
Sorry, 25 for a signature. I think I was 10 or something like that. And what struck me was we were the same height. I was 10 years old, and I was like, "That's Mickey Rooney," and in fact, it was. Who was sitting behind us? Was it Tab Hunter? Who was sitting behind us? Mommy lost her mind. Who was it?
It was Troy Donahue.
Troy Donahue. That's who it was. I've seen my mother lose her mind 3 times, I think. Once was we saw Spin and Marty, Tim Considine, and I think she just stopped functioning as a human being for a minute there. And then that Troy Donahue moment where she went whack and hit me, and she goes, "Jesse, do you know who that is?" I was like, "No, I'm recovering from the injury you've just given me. Please tell me more." That was a cool one. You know who else was there? It was the swamp creature from the Black Lagoon was there.
Yeah, Ben Chapman.
He was there.
Yeah,
weird.
He was the land creature.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. The late Riku Browning.
Yeah.
Underwater, Ben Chapman.
What bonus was that on? What bonus feature was that we watched that talked all about them going underwater? Do you remember this?
No.
We got to see some bonus feature. I came in and you had something on, and I ended up just sitting there because they were talking about how they figured out how to get the creature underwater and who they had to hire and how they had to do it and how beautiful he moved and all this. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It's fascinating. Alice was a big Spin and Marty fan. I think, again, it's one of those, it's like saying, did you have a crush on one of the Mouseketeers? You had to, that's who you would have had a crush on then.
Yeah.
If you didn't, that would be strange that you didn't have a crush on one of them. It's like if you're around my age and you grew up watching Boy Meets World, you had to have a crush on one of them. You just had to, or else did you even exist? Your favorite is your favorite Mouseketeer still Cheryl in the Pokey?
Cheryl Holdridge.
That's still
no. Darlene Gillespie.
Sorry, Darlene went to the Pokey. My mistake. I apologize.
I like Darlene too.
You like Darlene too. You weren't in Annette. It's because he likes blondes. He's a blonde guy, so he tends to go for that. But yeah, I liked Cubby because I was little, and Cubby was also little. So logically, we would have gone together. Everybody had a crush on Annette Funicello. It's true. I mean, again, isn't that fascinating? It was a time when there just wasn't as much to watch. So
right.
Your crushes were global. Everybody got to see a lot of the same stuff
at the same time,
which was huge. That is something that I do find of the good and the bad of streaming. I remember when we interviewed this is what happens when you don't sleep. What's her name? The director of
Dee Reese.
Dee Reese. There you go. She did a movie called Mudbound. Yeah. Mudbound. And when we interviewed her, and this has got to be like 5 or so years ago, she was talking about how for the first time in her career, the movie was going to premiere on, I think it was Netflix, and it was going to premiere the same day globally. And beyond that, when that film ended, a pop-up for, it's called Pariah. A pop-up for Pariah would happen, a film she made in 2009.
A really good film.
Really, really good film that if you aren't into indies, you might not have heard of. But this was such a major thing. And so when she said that to us, I thought, yeah, it really has to mean something when you are an indie filmmaker and suddenly your movie can be seen around the world at the same time. And then a film that you loved and worked on from years prior will have another life, because all the people who just watch this will go, oh, well, what comes next? Pariah? I don't remember that, and watch that. So, in the pluses and minuses category, that's a pretty incredible thing. I'll end with my friend Josh is saying, are you excited for Telluride? Do you think the background turmoil will have people taking in films during these festivals with less shenanigans? Well, Telluride is pretty low on the shenanigan front. It now has a lot more parties than it used to, which I don't love, because I don't think of Telluride in that way. I don't ever want it to become a Toronto type or any of these other places where every night someone's having a party somewhere and people are coming in with teams and entourages. That's not what Telluride is, and I really don't like that it's happening. But it is what it is, and I have no control over this. But I think that everybody, as always, when we get there, everyone's just so excited to watch good movies with each other. And so whatever is going on, whether there will be any actors there or not, and I think there will be, just because it is the 50th anniversary. So I think there are a number of folks who will come just because they love the festival.
Right. I'm sure they're inviting people who've been honored there before.
Exactly. So I think
who would not be promoting a new movie.
Yeah. So nobody gets in trouble. But yeah, I think that would probably be more of what Telluride will be like. And I can't wait for that. It's going to be interesting because Daisy can walk now. So this will be Daisy's first flight being able to walk. So if anyone sees a small child flying out of a plane because she accidentally opened a door, it's my kid, and I'm sorry, because that's absolutely something she would do. That is 100% something my kid would do. She would find a way to open a door on a plane.
Speaking of which, a plug for Hijack.
Oh yeah, woof. That was really good.
Talk about bingeable series.
Man.
7 episodes.
We all did.
7 1 hour, 50 minute or so episodes. Yeah. British made. Idris Elba.
It's Idris Elba, which you can watch him do genuinely anything.
And what an incredible suspense movie this is.
I came in
to the very end.
My parents were watching it upstairs. I came in, started watching it with them. I realized I only missed about 10 minutes. I didn't know how far in you guys were. And then I sat there going, oh, okay. Then I had to wait for Daisy to go to sleep so I could try to watch it, and then binged it in, I think, 2 days. It's so good. It's so good.
I wish I had the names of the creators here.
Yeah. Hijack is on Apple. It's Apple Plus, Apple TV, whatever they're calling it. Apple. It lives on Apple. But yeah, it's Idris Elba. It's new. It hasn't gotten as much buzz as I would have thought it would. But again, I think there's so much going on. It's hard for people to keep track. But yeah, Hijack, big time recommendation. The River Phoenix line. Yeah. Jamie sings, Mickey Rooney was the River Phoenix of his day and Annette was the Taylor Swift of hers. Did I get that right?
Close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd almost go with that. I definitely understand what you're saying. Yeah, man, talented people. They say, I don't know why the most artistic people are broken. I'll never really know. I don't think any of us will.
One of life's many mysteries.
But they just are. So.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
As always.
Are you going to be going to a Taylor Swift concert? I mean, she's just finished her American leg, but are you going to hit one of the European stops?
I was going to go to Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. That I hear that's going to be a great show. The Saskatchewan.
They just released more tickets.
Yeah. Can you imagine? You know what, though? She plays a lot of places. There's a solid chance that you're going to get to see her in Saskatchewan. What year were the photos from? Oh, no, that's what I said to my dad. He doesn't know. He was just guessing.
No. Those are educated guesses.
I'm sorry. They're educated guesses. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we will see you next Sunday. Yeah, we're still here.
Yep.
And everybody, please take care. And
be kind.
There you go. Bye, guys.